Hello, my friends. It's been a while, but welcome to the Weekly Sip. I'm sorry for my absence. I do have to admit straight up that a good portion of it was just plain old-fashioned laziness, which I am not proud of. However, I did get a fair amount of work done while I was gone on some rather large video projects, and hopefully you will see those coming out in the coming weeks. I've also organized a bunch of the data that has been piling up on my computer, so I should be able to more efficiently put out those smaller videos that come out every day. So hopefully you won't see me disappear again for a while. And again, I really apologize. There's actually a bunch of comments from people asking where I went, and I do stream every day, so you can see me there if you want. And I am on Discord every day as well. But if you're just looking for the political videos, yeah, I was off SFO for a little bit. So I apologize, but I'm back. And I know that you guys missed your weekly sips, so how about we do that right now? Well, there you go. I hope that sip symphony was enough to make up for time lost. Let's start off with this week's Ridiculous Person Award. We got the hipster Reb. Dogs are a tool of white supremacy and gentrification. That's not just my opinion. There is research that shows how white newcomers' dog-walking routes stake out territory, and white owners use their pets to socialize with other white owners, excluding minorities. Black people could just get a dog and walk it and stake out territory and socialize with white owners or even other black owners. Apparently not, though, because meanwhile, if black dog owners would show up in white neighborhoods, they'd be surveilled and harassed. What is this? Black and Latinx dog owners were classified as deficient and subsequently surveilled and disciplined. The power of the classification and logic of this white urban middle-class habitus comes in its reinforcement of pre-existing structural arrangements along race and class lines. In this space, dogs helped reinforce an inequitable system of whiteness. Okay, I know that Muslims don't like dogs, so if you wanted to make a ridiculous Islamophobic argument based around dogs, you might have like a slight grain of truth in that, but this logic is basically white middle class people like dogs, therefore dogs are part of the white supremacy. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh god, not all dogs energy, guys. Forget about not all men. Forget about not all whites, now it's not all dogs. You can't be a real intersectional progressive unless you have a cat, I guess. Oh god, this is the study. Dogs and racial boundary maintenance in a multiracial neighborhood. What the fuck is this? Oh my god. This has only been cited twice. I'm not fucking surprised. I'm gonna have to do like a full video on this gentrification bullshit, I think. Let's move on to the articles, and the first one is a missing persons report. Missing Bradford woman could be sleeping rough. I think sleeping rough is like a British euphemism for sleeping on the streets, like homelessness. Have you seen Famida Begum? Police are very concerned for her welfare after she went missing in Bradford. The 52-year-old, who is known to the Manningham area, was reported missing on the 15th of March after not showing up to an appointment. She usually wears a black long dress with a full face veil and is described as being of large build. Police believe she could be sleeping rough and are keen to hear from anyone with any information. Tragic story. It's never good when someone goes missing. But can you see the problem with this post? Usually when the police put up a picture of somebody who's gone missing, it can be used to identify them. And when a woman walks around in full Islamic dress, you can't really see anything, can you? Yes, sir, officers. As soon as I see somebody walking around in a full beekeeper suit, I will let you know immediately. Swedish leftist MP says we assume that all men are rapists, and demands all men take collective responsibility for rape. This was published by Paul Joseph Watson, who has recently been maligned, hasn't he, on social media. Poor guy. Let's see what he has to say here. Swedish Left Party MP Linda Snecker asserted that women assume all men are rapists. Well, I know a few women who don't do that. And demanded that all men take collective responsibility during a parliamentary debate. No, I will not. I will only take responsibility for the things that I have personally done. Men's violence against women governs the entire world structure, and that the struggle of feminism was to put a stop to the violence of men. There's a quotation here, and I think this video is what plays it, but this video is in Swedish, so if I were to press play here.
Vi kan inte se på dig om du är en våldtäktsman eller inte.
Yeah, it's just in Swedish. But I think what she's saying is, we women adapt our lives and our behavior to men's potential threats of violence. Because we cannot see whether you are a rapist or not, we assume that all men are rapists. That is the brutal truth. That is how a structural problem looks. That is why men must take their collective responsibility. All men. Okay. What if I were to say that I cannot see whether or not a woman is honest? I should assume that all of them want to trap any man that they have sex with and have them paying child support payments. That's a ridiculous notion, but I could say it, because it's potentially true. What if I said that all Muslims that I see are going to blow themselves up? They're all just suicide bombers, because we don't know if they're not. What if I were to say that every single black person I bump into on the street, I should automatically assume that they're a dangerous gang member? Do you see how ridiculous this logic is? You would be probably legitimately called racist or sexist if you held this about anybody else. So because this woman holds these ideas about men, all men as a group, as a class, we can definitely define her as sexist. But apparently somebody hit bat, claiming that Snecker was ignoring the true source of the problem, mass immigration. Maybe it's not all men. Maybe it's a certain population of men who subscribe to an idea that allows them to rape the non-believer. Maybe that's the problem. The Left Party claims that they stand for women's equal value, but why then insist on hiding the main causes of today's problems with threats and violence against women? They desperately deny the consequences of their own mass immigration policy and instead blame all men, only to hide the facts of rape. If I were to stand in Parliament and say that all Muslims are terrorists, I would be charged directly. Sweden does have a massive rape problem, which, just by coincidence, has become notably worse since the country began importing migrant men from countries where respect for women's rights is somewhat different than in the West. Migrants from Muslim-majority nations commit 84% of very violent rapes in Sweden. Yeah, see, this is exactly what I'm saying. Maybe the problem isn't all men. Maybe the problem is the type of men you're importing. Now, I don't want to say that it's always Muslims, but a lot of the time it's Muslims, unfortunately. Because, for example, this happened. Monster mum met convicted pedophile on dating app and let him rape her daughters, ages 1 and 4, when he promised to marry her. That's fucking insane. 34-year-old allegedly asked her to send pictures and videos of her children before he abused them. Now, this guy, like, the mother's obviously terrible, and I think the mother's like a German woman. She's the worst of the worst. But where's this guy from? Just out of curiosity, where's the guy from? The 30-year-old, only known as Daniel P., proposed to the woman named only as Kristen I., and proposed they would move to Dubai. Dubai! What kind of people live in Dubai? Good God. Like, I know that this is all anecdotal. This is all single instances, but eventually patterns start to line up. You can't keep saying that there's nothing structurally wrong with Islam. You can't keep saying that at this point. The court heard how over messages he told her of his perverse love for children, and that if Kristen would take photos and videos of her daughters and send them to him. The first time that Daniel met her, he abused the girls. He had promised her he would marry her and they could start a new life in Dubai. The mum has been accused of preparing her daughters and left Daniel to it when he was raping the children. Like, what? The guy's a pedophile, obviously, right? And there are definitely Muslims out there who aren't pedophiles, and there are definitely non-Muslims who are. Like, this is in that instance, it's not a straight up Muslim issue; it's a pedophile issue. Like, obviously, okay. But the mother, like, how did she justify this? Is she a pedophile? Possibly. Is she just a single mom who is so desperate for a partner that she is willing to sacrifice her own kids on the altar in order to get one? I think that's possible too. For the mother's part of it, it might actually be a single mom issue. Because I don't know, like I have met many a desperate single mom in my time. I don't know how many of them would do this, but I'm sure a minority of them would. I don't know, guys. Whether you want to treat this as an individual situation or something wrong with the ideologies that either of these people follow, it's still a disgusting situation. And to be fair, it's not always Muslims. Obviously, it's not always Muslims, because man who pleaded guilty to raping a 14-year-old girl gets no jail time. Yeah, this is in the States. This is where we are. Shane Peach will spend the next 10 years on probation. Back in February, the 25-year-old pleaded guilty to raping a 14-year-old girl he met while driving her school bus. Oh my fucking... Why? Why isn't he in jail? He will have to register as a level 1 sex offender, meaning he's considered to be at minimal risk of committing the crime again. He will not, however, spend any time in prison, and his status as a level 1 offender means he will not be included in online sex offender databases. He'll be a felon for the rest of his life. He's on the sex offender registry for a long time, maybe not the rest of his life, but this isn't something that didn't cause him pain, and it isn't something that didn't have consequences. He's not allowed to be alone with anybody younger than 17. Why did the court determine that he shouldn't go to jail or shouldn't be put on a list? He fucked a 14-year-old girl. Is there more information on this? Jesus. This guy looks like somebody who would do it. Okay, so it seems like the main reason why is because he cut a deal with the prosecutors, pled guilty, got 10 years probation, stayed out of jail because it's his first offense. You know, feminists like to argue that one of the main reasons that they don't come forward is because of situations like this. Because even when the evidence and the testimonials are in their favor, people do not get the harsher sentences that the victims would like to see them get. When you're faced with a situation like this, I can kind of understand their point of view. If you were raped, and then you bring them the evidence, and you have witnesses willing to testify, and then the guy who's guilty simply cuts a deal and says, yeah, I'm guilty. For a guilty plea, you can not put me in jail. I can see how that would be disheartening. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to the police. It doesn't mean that there's a structural problem. But it does mean that on an individualistic level, I can see why some people would be demoralized by things like this. But at the same time, cutting deals with the prosecution is actually a key part of the justice system. It is the defendant's right to plead guilty to what they've done and get a lower sentence as a result. Now, you could argue that the judge made the sentence too low in this case, and I would agree with you, but it doesn't mean that the system's flawed. It doesn't mean that if you're a rape victim, you shouldn't come forward. Let's end it on this. Democrat representative says men should be castrated to end abortions and taxed to store their sperm. What the fuck? Dude, this woman looks like somebody who has like a giant barrel of sperm in her basement with like a tube, and then she just like once in a while she just takes the tube and like slurps up a bunch of it. And to be honest, it looks like that's the only male contact she ever gets. Democrat Illinois State Rep. Diane Pappas believes that the answer to preventing abortions is that men should be castrated and charged to store their sperm. What? This has to be a troll or something. We tried to keep politics out of this equation, as we were here to represent the parish members for pro-life. I personally introduced myself as a business owner, who is a licensed insurance agent. 2 minutes into the discussion, she revealed her views on the topic and how we won't be able to change her mind. Her eyes connected with mine, and she said, "You know, ladies, with technology the way it is, we wouldn't have an abortion problem if we applied a plan. Now, I've been told it's a bit radical, but if we allowed men to be castrated, took the sperm to the bank, collected tax dollars on it for storage, and then when it's time to have the man decide he's ready to begin a family, well then, problem solved." Who would enforce this? Like, most military people are men, most police officers are men. Who would be the people to actually do this? Frederick Douglass Foundation president and speaker for the National Black Pro-Life Coalition, Babette Holder, is now calling for Pappas to be formally disciplined. She needs to be censored. What she said is every bit as bad as what Stephanie Kifowit talked about when she spoke of brewing up a Legionnaire's potion for then Representative Peter Breen. There needs to be accountability when you make these kinds of statements and you're supposed to be a public servant. Well, to be fair, the accountability will be that this will go fucking viral and she will never be voted into office again. She doesn't need to be censored. She needs to be ridiculed for this insane plan. The bill being discussed would prohibit the state from interfering in any way with abortions. It would erase criminal penalties for performing abortions and allow non-doctors to do them. See, erase criminal penalties for performing them? Fine. Allow non-doctors to do them. This is how women fucking die on the table. So yeah, this woman's pro-life, and her plan to end abortions is to end male genitalia. Alright, chums, that's it for me. Again, I'm very sorry I was gone so long, but I'm back. I'm doing stuff. Gonna aim for a video a day again. And I'm still streaming every night. Last night, my girlfriend and I streamed Heavy Rain on Twitch. Tonight, I'll be streaming with the commie, Jordan. We're gonna be doing some Tales of Vesperia. Basically, if I ever take vacations or disappear or something happens, you know, I'm still active on Discord. I still stream. It's easy to come contact me and ask me what's going on. You know, 9 times out of 10, it's because, like, something's happened. Something's happened that pulled me away from YouTube. For example, actually, this past week. This is not the entire reason as to why I was gone, but it was like a small nugget of a reason. I had to deal with something that my mum was doing. Basically, without getting into the details too much. She's getting old enough now that, it's starting to cause a few problems, and I basically had to deal with a situation that she had caused. Everything's fine. She's fine. Like, nothing actually went wrong. It's just that if you're a younger person, you have to realize that as your parents age, you may be a bit more involved in the things that they do day to day. But yeah, those of you who were wondering why I vanished or where I had gone, I actually am pretty easy to contact if you're engaged with the community. So if you ever wonder where I am, or if you ever want to talk to me, or if you ever want to see what I'm doing outside of this channel, you know, hop on Discord, come see the streams. I'm around every day. But I am out of here. I love you.